Bonjour mesdames et messieurs. In this episode we're going to shoot some lavender fields without lavender. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, my name is Serge Remedy. I'm a French photographer living in Paris and Los Angeles. Right now I'm in the south of France. I'm in the Plateau de Valensole, which is high up in the mountains, and this is where you have all the lavender fields in France. Since ever I started doing photography, I always saw these lavender fields and I've always wanted to come. But I'm 2 months too late. There's no more lavender, but we still get some really cool structure of the fields. The way that they are made. You will see in the video. It's pretty interesting to shoot. I hope it still comes with a good photo. So if you want to get the raw file for this episode, all you have to do is sign in on my website. You put in your email address, you log in. You create an account if you don't have one. Once you're logged in, and only once you're logged in, then you can go onto the link below this video. It will work and will give you the raw file for this episode. All right, so follow me and let's see. I'm going to show you all the good photos, all the bad photos. I hope there is some good ones. It's going to be tricky because it's getting very stormy up above me and it's very sunny there. If the sun comes down pretty deep and the rays goes up on the clouds, it could be nice. But also what could happen is that the clouds totally cover the sun and nothing happens. This is what photography is all about. You know, it's like fishing. Sometimes you come with fish, sometimes you don't come with fish, you know. Okay, follow me and let's do some lavender field or not. Shoot. So now what I'm trying to do is you see the field are like this. What I want to do is I want to walk until the sun is completely to the west so that all the leading lines come to the sun and maybe that there is a tree or something. So let's walk and see if we can find that right now. This field is not right. I hope the one over there is going to be right. All right, so I found one lonely tree, which is what I was looking for, was a lavender field in one tree, but it's not going up and down enough because I really only want to see the tree. So I'm going to try it by going down if I can frame it. I actually will show you my framing. And if not, I'm going to keep on walking until I find a little curve like this. What I'm trying to find is something where we don't have too much element in the horizon. We only have like one tree and the lavender field. Let me show you what I mean in my camera. That's the first lonely tree that I found. On my left, we have the sunset coming in about 20 minutes. So maybe, you see, the thing is, I can see small things over there and over there. I'm going to try to go very wide angle or zoom in on the tree, take both photos and go down maybe so that this tree sticks out. I can try to put it in the middle on the left or on the right. I'm going to try all these photos. And maybe I will take out in Photoshop all these things there so we only have the tree. Could be cool. Maybe I'm going to try to stand here or stand here so that I really have the leading line in front. That might be even better. We'll see what works the best. So let's take a few shots here. Okay, so that's one idea of the framing. I can either go very wide like this, but I don't like this tree over there. They really bother me. So I'm just gonna frame the house without at the limit of the tree here. You know, you really have to look at the border of your photo and try to get as little possible there. And I'm gonna HDR it. That's one thing that I want to do. So let's do that. Okay, that's another idea of framing that I have. We have the leading line and we have the tree there, except that I went too far. Now we cannot see the tree very well, so I'm going to move back a little bit because I want to get the curve and I want to get this nothing in the horizon. The only problem is that the sunset is more here on the right. I wish it would be more there, but you know, you cannot always get what you want. So let's move a little closer to that tree. Okay, now I moved closer to the tree, and so I'm going to try to, I never put it in the middle. I'm going to put it here on the left because the nice light is on the right, and I'm going to try to go very wide and very close. I'm going to try this shot, this, and a little wider, see which one works the best. And I'm even going to put the 1635 on to go even more crazy. Okay, so that's another framing that I kind of like. The sun is coming down more and more. It's going to be more and more crazy in a minute. The only problem is that we have some wheat. We have some gluten here on the left, which I don't like so much. We have the lavender here. But I like the leading lines toward that tree and that house there. So I'm going to frame it pretty wide and pretty tight. See which one works the best. And I'm going to keep on walking. Okay, so that's another framing that I really like. The good light is behind me. It's over there. I don't like that, but I like, you know, the gluten here, the lavender, that tree is pretty cool. I'm going to go very wide. I'm going to go tight on it. And look at this. Look at this light. It's really a shame that we only have like 10 to 15 minutes per day of this type of light. You know, I feel sometimes as a photographer that I only work 10 minutes per day. But it's now. All right, so now we're almost done. Look at the sky, how it's gotten warm. And so I'm going to take this photo very wide, and then I'm going to zoom in without the sun to take this one. I'm going to HDR everything because, you know, there's a lot of dynamic range, and this should be a good photo. I'm going to try maybe to go a little lower. Let me show you. If I go a little lower, nah, it doesn't change much. Doesn't change much. See, if I go too low, we don't see so much the leading lines. If I'm higher up, it's nicer. All right, so let's take a few shots here. I think it's gonna be interesting. There's a few minutes of life left, and then we're gonna jump over in Lightroom and see which one came out the best. All right, mesdames et messieurs, so before we get started and before this will be the final result of this walk in the lavender field without lavender, let me just give you a couple of tips here. There is a course that I did, it's called the Landscape Masterclass, which is still on a release price of $59 instead of $147. It's my most complete course ever. At the end of the presentation, you will get a full presentation of this course. Also, I open up an exclusive photographic coaching with me. It's a one-on-one where I'm going to give you 40 assignments actually based on the Landscape Masterclass course. And this is still open for a few students. So if you're interested in working with me on 40 different challenges, this is really a one-to-one. Click here. And it's something that takes about a month or two, depending how much dedicated you are. It's not easy. There's a lot of reject, but I believe you can hopefully be a better photographer at the end. All right, so let's jump over to Lightroom and let me show you. I'm going to reset this one because that's the one I'm going to be retouching. And this was really an amazing evening. I really loved it, and I hope the movie you saw before gave you a little bit of the flavor. You know, even though there was no lavender, it's still a nice place. So this is some of the photos. I've shot a lot more, but this is some photo that I first selected. Usually what I do, you know, is I go through all my photos, and if I feel a potential within a photo, I just press 1. And I did that already, so I'm only going to show you the ones. Because most of the ones which are not ones are basically bracketed photos. So, you know, I bracketed everything. It was, whenever the sun is around, you know, I prefer to bracket. I rather have more than not enough. So, I don't want to show you all the bracketing. It's just going to be nicer to see. Let's talk about composition. Now, I like this one. The only problem about this photo is that this was the opposite of the sun. The sun was still very high, so the colors are not amazing. Everything is very central. The tree's in the middle. So I tried to put it on the left, kind of like that with the leading lines. Then I went, you know, as I showed you, much wider, which is kind of cool. And then again, much closer. You know, I always try different compositions, you know, until I find something. Then started moving around. I like that, but the lighting was very flat. You know, the sunrise was coming up here, but there was a bit of missing some light here. So I went back looking the other way. I like this photo again, but the sun was too far. You know, there's a lack of color in this photo. Same thing. I like the composition. I like the leading lines, but there is a lack of color. I actually try a little retouching to see what it could bring. Let me reset it, and because I like the glow that there is on the lavender, but it's, you know, it lacks of red for me. You know, it's all yellowish, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that. I like the shadows, you know, and I did some tests of retouching. That's one test I did, but you know, at the end of the day, it's very yellow, 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 which is, I find it lacks of contrast. I showed you that I did a pano. I actually tried it in black and white. I like this one. That's a pano that I did out of 2 photos, and that's something that I do often. Let me reshed it and show you how I did it. So I just take out the 1 star. So you have photo number 1 is, I believe, here, and photo number 2 is. So that's photo number 1 is this one, and photo number 2 is this one. So all I did is I took the normal exposure of both. I right click, I went to photo merge, panorama, and usually on this type of things, I go spherical or cylindrical. I don't do perspective. I think on this one I went spherical, and I clicked on merge, which I'm not going to do. I get this as a result, and then I went black and white. So the first thing that I did is I cropped the photo, and I used some of my preset that I'm actually going to give you for free here, which I call the Ansel Adams Presets. I don't want to talk too much about black and white because did so many videos on that, but let me show you the Ansel Adams Presets on this one. One click and boom, that's the result that I get. And if you want to get the Ansel Adams Presets, well, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel and you can get it. Let me see, the cropping is off on this one. I want to get more the pano feeling. And voila. And that's already pretty cool. I wanted a dramatic photo, so that's one click with the Ansel Adams preset and I got that. I was really happy. Okay, so then let's carry on. That's not what I wanted to show you, but again, with this video you will get for free my Ansel Adams preset, so you can play around with it. You'll get this raw files, the one I just showed you here, and the final one I'm going to give you, so you can really try this at home. Okay, then I carried on. I like that, you know, I was looking, the sunset was really here far on the right, and you know, I like the long shadows, and I think it works great for black and white, but I don't think it was great for color. You know, when I shoot color, so I had to wait, and finally the sun started to be low enough to bring in some colors. And so then finally it was almost at the limit of the horizon. So this is one of my selection. So this one, I've got the leading lines toward the tree. It's kind of cool. The sun is there. And then we have this one where I'm more zoomed in. So now the sun is out of the frame. I feel it lacks of this beautiful sun. Then we have this one where I'm very wide. And then finally this one where I'm even wider. And this is the one I'm going to retouch because that's the one I like the most. So first thing first is I'm going to open up the shadows. And I'm going to take care of that sensor spot crying, saying, please get rid of me. Now, usually you see me often bring down the highlights 100%. Now, on this one, I'm not going to do 100%. I'm going to do something like this because I want to get some, I don't want it blown away like this. I want to get some details, but not like this because this is not natural. I want it more natural. So I'm going to put it like this. Then I'm going to bring down my black and I'm going to bring my white. So something like this, okay? Then I'm going to take my crop tool, use the angle, make sure it follows the horizon. Boom. And I'm going to make this like this. Now, I like the idea of composition where you have 1/3 of sky and 2/3 of land. So I find it's more interesting on this photo. Let me show you the before. If I press backslash key on my keyboard, that's the before. And that's the after. That's where we are so far. But there are still ways to go. I think my highlights are a little, I want to do something like this. Okay, now let's talk about the white balance. When I used to shoot a lot of sunset, I used to always go to shade. Now, shade is going to make the whole photo very warm. The problem with that is that you lack of contrast between blue and orange in the sky. If you take daylight, which is much more warm, you get a lot more blue in the sky. And I find that it actually works better on some of sunsets. So we have a little bit of contrast of color between the blue here and this. Now, I want to see if I can improve that sunset. So for this, I'm going to go down to the U slider here. On U, saturation and luminance, HSL, you take the U slider and you got this tool here. It's called the target tool. You click on it, and now I'm going to click on the sunset here on the color. And as I go up, it's going to make it more green. As I go down, it's going to make it more yellow. Okay, but it's really picking up just that yellow. So I'm going to go above here, same thing. Up, it's going to make it yellow. Down, it's going to make it red. I'm going to bring back some red a little bit, just a little bit. You see, basically all it did is took the value here, which is orange, and brought it down to -10. It detected that the color that was below my mouse was orange, and I had the choice between, let me show you on screen, between going to the right and going very toward the greens, very yellow, or to the left, very red. I'm going to do it a little bit. You got to be very subtle with this, guys, not too much, a little bit. And I usually go also to the red primaries. Red primaries, if I go to the right, it makes it very yellow, and to the left, very orange. Now on this one, I'm going to bring back a little bit of yellow. Okay, just a little bit, so +11. I like that. Let me show you again the before and the after. Now, I think there is too much detail here. This foreground part is not very nice. So you want to guide the eye of the viewer. So for this, I'm going to take a gradient tool, and I'm going to make a little gradient here. And I'm following the lavender field, and I'm going to go to exposure and minus it out. Okay, and basically that's that. I just want to darken this, maybe a little more, so that the attention of the viewer is here on the sunset. Okay, and then I'm going to add a bit of contrast, and I'm basically down. One thing I can do sometimes that can be cool is take a little brush, go to exposure, add a bit of exposure and a bit of yellow, and just, enhance a little bit here the sun, sun rays here, so that it just creates a more powerful sun. So let me show you the before the brush stroke, the after. I made the light rays bigger. Now, when you do that, make sure that flow and density is around 80 on the value of your brush, because you don't want it to be too much. If it's too much, you can, I can make it stronger, I can make it less. You don't want to make it visible. As I always say, the supreme test is you look at this photo tomorrow and you ask yourself, did I do the brush strokes or not? If you know you didn't do the brush strokes, then you know you're good. Okay, voila, that's basically it. Before and after, very simple. In real life, it takes me about 20 seconds to retouch. The key point was finding the right composition and underexposing the photo. You see, all my photos are very much underexposed. I always expose for the highlights because I want to get all the details. See how dark it is here? Because I want to get all the details of the sunset. I have everything here. I have all the sunset. No, it's way too much. And all the shadows. And I find I get better result by slightly underexposing my photos. All right, now here's a full presentation of the Landscape Masterclass course. If you've seen it, you can just stop here. If you have not, you got to check it out. Best course I ever did. Right now I'm working on another course called the Cityscape Masterclass, where it's coming out in a few days. Been working on it for a year, where it's only CDs. It's based on my fine art books that I've been very lucky to have bestsellers around the world. And this one is really about landscapes. If you love landscapes, and you know what? Every photo is a challenge. Every photo is a retouching challenge. And in this course, I really show you all the different challenges you might come across. So check it out, the Landscape Masterclass. All right, so this is my Landscape Masterclass. Now this course is a completely new way for me of teaching. I've been trying to think how I can improve my tutorials so that you can get more out of it. And, I get a lot of emails every day, and the main thing that I'm getting is people sending me their photos and saying, oh, can you check them out? I would love to have your viewpoint on it. Well, And there is something that there's a few things that keeps on coming back in terms of mistakes, mostly compositions, sometimes too much retouching, or, just different things about, wrong moments of light of doing photos. And I thought I would really do a course that really takes you, that's the course I would have dreamed on doing when I started. Let me show you what it contains. It's got 48 videos, almost 8 hours of training, and it's in 11 different sections. The section number 1 is called the definition of photography, where we just really look at what the definition of photography, and I give you a lot of examples so that you can see what makes a photo being a nice photo, why it makes a photo being popular or not. That's really what I go into. Of course, it's my viewpoint, it's my taste, but we're getting back to basics from what the definition of photography is. Then I'm going to show you my basic setup on how I use exposure composition and how I take my photos, because taking the right exposure is really the basics of the basics. So I show you an actual live example in Santa Monica in Los Angeles. Then I really go into different example of what different f-stops you can do and how you can use this for landscape. Whether you have something that's close to you or far away from you, or you want to get a starlight effect, what f-stop you should use in what different situations. Then we start going into different rule of composition, the rule of third. Playing with leading lines, and I show you a lot of examples of that, framing the frame, foreground, middle ground, background, really tricks that I find over the years really help me get the right composition when I take my photos, and I give you lots of examples on that. Then we're going to go and we're going to do some live example of composition where I'm actually showing you through my camera a lot of different examples of how I compose my photos, and then we're going to go into retouching them, and then I start really getting into the different types of the lights that we have, how to make a great daylight photo come out with a lot of different examples. Daylight is really the worst moment to take photos, but there are some things you can do like black and white to really get some really cool daylight photos. Then we're going to do daylight special effects, because daylight is often boring, so sometimes special effect is going to help them make them pop. You got a great subject but it was shot in daylight. Well, I'll show you how you can do special effects to make that thing really pop, that photo really have a nice light despite the light was not that good. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of presets that comes for free with the course, and that's going to help you with your daylight photos. Then we go into shooting right into the sun. Golden hour. How do you shoot golden hour? How do you set your camera for golden hour? How do you retouch golden hour? I'm going to show you an amazing app. I did a full tutorial on photo pills. It's a great app which you can use to find when is the sun going to be where exactly. If you want to plan a photo and you want to get the sun between two buildings or above a specific bridge, well, you can use this app to find out which time of the year that's going to be. Super useful app, amazing app, photo pills. Then we get into the sunset. How do we use our camera to capture the sunset properly? How to get a right exposure and how to retouch sunsets. I'm going to give you a lot of examples. Blue hour can be amazing. Same thing, I'm going to give you live example of blue hours photos, how I frame them, how I retouch them. Different things, how to get a very natural look on the blue hour. Then I'll show you a really cool app called Salt that I use every day to find when is the right time to shoot photos. Then we're going to go into HDR, and this course has a lot of HDR. I've completely updated my HDR workflow, and I'm going to show you how you can use HDR FX Pro, which is free, to get some really cool HDR. I'm going to show you how to set up your camera. I'm going to show you how to use HDR FX Pro on 3 different projects. Then I'm going to show you how to use Aurora HDR on 4 different projects, which I think is the best HDR software out there. And then all the photos we did in HDR, I'm going to take them back in Lightroom and make them a natural version of it, so I can compare the HDR version with the natural version. Then we're going to go into one of the most powerful technique there is for landscape for a natural result is digital blending, and how to blend different exposures to get the photo you really want to have. Give you 2 examples on this. Then I'm going to do a lot of live examples of shooting for long exposure using ND filters in New Zealand, in Paris, and in Venice. How I've been using this to get some cool long exposure effects and how to retouch them. We're going to go into super long exposure, 5 to 8 minutes exposure. How do you do long exposure when you don't have a filter? How to properly shoot a panorama, how to hold your camera to make a great panorama. And then we're going to go into different types of retouching of panoramas, including some of my most favorite panorama ever. Then I'm going to show you a whole workflow on how to do astrophotography, how and where to find the Milky Way exactly, how to do your camera settings, and then we're going to do different astrophotography projects together, shooting the Milky Way. All this, of course, comes as usual with source files, but the big new thing about this course is that I have a checklist. What the checklist is going to give you is two things. It's going to give you a sequence of study, how do you go from easier to more complex projects, but also it's going to give you assignments. I'm going to ask you to go, okay, now you learn about long exposure, go do a 5-second long exposure, a 20-second, a 30-second using an ND filter, a variable ND filter, a fixed ND filter, and then I'm going to ask you to post your photos on Instagram with a specific hashtag so that I can see your progress and how you're applying the videos and how you're learning, but also so that you can look for these hashtags and see how everybody else is doing, and doing their long exposure and doing the SDR. So you can check for the hashtags and see what other students are doing. Also, and that's not out yet, but next month I will be taking under my wing 20 to 25 photographers using this course on a special one-to-one project where I will ask you to send me the photos you've been taking as part of this course, and I will coach you on them, tell you if you made it or not, and at the end you can graduate from it. For now, this will be limited to 20 to 25 photographers, and I'm going to talk about this next month. If you're interested, you can always send me an email on my website, and there is already a waiting list for that because it's only limited to 20 to 25 photographers on the planet for now, where I really want to coach you through this course. And at the end, you're going to get an actual diploma where you graduated from the Landscape Masterclass. And once you graduate from the Landscape Masterclass, you can come to a special Facebook group where I will be doing career coaching every week with a different photographer. And you can see how I coach them because I will be recording the videos. But this will be only for the people who graduated this course. So stay tuned for that. That's not out yet, but the course is out. You can purchase it and you can start getting into it. And, I really think I did the best course I ever did because I give really a lot of examples from shooting to retouching on gradients, from easy project to harder and harder and harder. This is all I know, guys. This is all I've learned in 12 years. My work is in 85 galleries around the world. I've done 2 fine arts books. I'm doing a 3rd one now. There are pretty bestsellers around the planet. And I'm not saying this to show off. I'm just saying this. I've had the success with this. I've seen over the years things that work and things that don't. Well, I'm going to share you all my secrets, all the things that works. I'm really excited about this course. If there's only one course you ever want to buy from me, it's this one, the Landscape Masterclass. All right, guys, see you in one of my training videos.